Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous to make this video because I know I'm gonna get a lot of differing opinions, and that is okay. Because today we are talking about the worst and the best DFW suburbs, and I'm gonna give you my personal ranking of these. Now your rank may be different than mine, and that is totally okay. I want to encourage anyone who has a differing opinion, or if you think I got something wrong, I want you to leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think. Now be friendly, okay? So these are no personal attacks, but this is just your 2 cents about a suburb and my 2 cents about a suburb. My point of view is coming from being a realtor in the DFW burbs. I've helped clients buy, sell, rent in all of these areas, as well as I've got friends and family here in the DFW Metroplex. So be sure to listen why I'm giving these suburbs the ranking that I am, because that may help you determine if your opinion is different than mine and why our opinions are so different. So let's get on into it. I am ranking these suburbs with the S tier, okay? So the S is going to be an up and coming suburb. The A is going to be my personal favorite in the Metroplex. Tier B is I would be excited to live here. C is going to be a good, but maybe not the best suburb. The D ranking is going to be a passable suburb. Got some cons associated, but overall, it gets the Brielle pass. And then the F category is going to be a suburb that I personally just wouldn't recommend. So let's get on into it. We are starting off with Frisco. Now, Frisco has gotten a lot of hype over the past couple years just because they are exploding with growth. There's so much new development here with neighborhoods and commercial space. So Frisco is really attracting a lot of families because you do have so many newer neighborhoods here. You've got options for new construction, and you've got really great schools. So residential side is looking pretty good. Schools are ranked really well. And then on the commercial side, you've got so many new businesses, so many new headquarters finding their home here in Frisco. So it's attracted a lot of attention, and for good reason. So Frisco is going to land in the A tier for me. I really like Frisco. I love that Frisco feels kind of like a bigger city, but you're not as big as Dallas. So more and more I'm finding myself shopping in Frisco, eating out in Frisco, because there's just more options up here. So personally, Frisco is definitely one of my favorite suburbs. Next on the list is Plano. Now, Plano is a really popular suburb, and for good reason. There's a lot going on in Plano, especially on that western side, and there's a lot of redevelopment happening on that eastern side of Plano. So lots going on in the Plano area. However, you may be surprised at my rating. So personally, I'm gonna give Plano a C, good but not the best category. And that's because Plano has had some growing pains. So for instance, Plano has an older population. People are staying in their homes a lot longer in Plano. And because of this, some of the schools in Plano have shut down. 4 to be specific are shutting down in 2025, 2 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. And that's because there's just not enough demand for people living in Plano to need these elementary and middle schools. If you're looking for a rehab project, Plano would be a great place for you to look. Some of the schools are still ranked really high. I would say it just kind of depends on the pocket of Plano that you're in. And I will say, parts of Plano are going to be more popular than others. West Plano, along Preston Road and along the Tollway, really great spot in Plano. That's my personal favorite area. I go there all the time for shopping all along Preston Road, for restaurants, retail, all the things. However, on the eastern side of Plano, you're gonna see a lot of those older properties, and you're also going to see some revitalization happening. So there's some older neighborhoods, there's a little bit more crime from what I've heard on the eastern side. So definitely do your research, but that is why Plano is gonna be a C for me. Next up, we have Southlake. So Southlake I recently did a video on. I'm a really big fan of Southlake. I think there is so much to do over there. You've got Southlake Town Square for amazing shopping and retail. You've got all your major grocery stores over there, including Whole Foods and Central Market. And if you've not been to Central Market, you'll definitely have to check that out. So lots to do in Southlake. You've also got really great schools, really great academic and sports programs over there, so the community is very involved with the sports in these schools. And then you've got beautiful real estate. Real estate is amazing over here. You typically have bigger lots, bigger homes, but you do have some higher prices. So this would maybe be one drawback to Southlake, is just it's got a higher barrier to entry here. But if you can get into Southlake, you've got great schools, great things to do, and you're probably gonna have a pretty big house. Now, the only negative here about Southlake that I've heard from some of my clients and just some people who have lived in Southlake before is some people don't love the people over here. Now, Highland Park and Southlake are similar in that they've got a lot of prestige. There's a reputation that comes with living in Highland Park. There's a reputation that comes with living in Southlake. And typically it means you're a little bougie and they like to show off over there. So if that is not your thing, if that's not your style, you're probably not gonna like Southlake. If that is your thing, you will love Southlake and it's gonna be a great place for you to live. So all in all, Southlake is going to be a B for me. I would definitely be excited to live here. So next up is McKinney. McKinney is definitely one of my favorite suburbs for a whole lot of reasons. You've got a lot of growth going on in McKinney, so you have options for new construction. You also have options for older, mature neighborhoods. And you've got a lot of master plan communities here, which have a lot of amenities. Typically, there may be a school nearby or in the neighborhood, and the schools are ranked very well in McKinney ISD as well. So lots to do in McKinney. They've got a great historic downtown district with lots of restaurants. They do their farmers market here. They'll do a Christmas parade. I really love McKinney because it is a big suburb. It's pretty spread out, but at the same time, you've got a very close-knit community over there. And it feels a little bit less commercial than some areas of Plano and Frisco. It's just a little bit quieter. So I'm a huge fan of McKinney, and I feel like you can get a lot of bang for your buck here. So you've got townhomes, you've got single family. Typically, in my experience, the prices have been a little bit lower than Frisco or some parts of West Plano. So I feel like you're in a really great spot, and you're close. If you're closer to the 75 side, then you maybe don't have to take the tollway. But if you're close to 121, you've got a straight shot to DFW Airport. You've got a straight shot to Dallas North Tollway to get you down south. I mean, just a really convenient location if you're close to one of the major highways. So for that reason, McKinney is definitely on my A list. It is one of my favorite suburbs in all of DFW. Next on the list is Grapevine. So I do have to say I'm a little biased when it comes to Grapevine because my boyfriend has family that lives over here. We frequent this area a lot. I love Grapevine. It is on the B list for me. I would definitely be super excited to live in Grapevine. You've got really great school ratings over here, lots to do. You've got Grapevine Lake, you've got a lot of parks, playgrounds, and overall Grapevine to me just feels very homey. It feels very homey. You've got a close-knit community over here, and then you've got the beautiful Main Street district. The little downtown area of Grapevine is absolutely adorable. It's one of the best little downtowns I've ever seen. And they turned into the Christmas capital for the month of December. So really cool place to visit. Definitely check them out. And then Lake Grapevine is beautiful. I am gonna put it on the B list as I would be excited to live here because I might be more partial to a Frisco or McKinney, but Grapevine is definitely a really, really great option. And you're in a prime location, very close to DFW Airport, so that is always a plus. Next on the list is Allen, Texas. Allen is a great little suburb. You've got very highly ranked schools over here. Allen actually has the biggest high school in all of Texas. It's one high school for the whole suburb of Allen, which is pretty crazy. But Allen does have some new construction options. They are getting more expensive as, you know, that suburb is really growing out. And they're a little bit more limited on space now as they've grown so much. But you do have some new construction options here. You've got great shopping, Allen Premium Outlets. You've got the Waters Creek area, which is kind of like an outdoor outlet. It's not the outlets, but it's kind of like an outlet mall, but you've got some really like cool outdoor shops, restaurants over here. And you know, Allen is one of those communities that people talk about loving their neighbor, and they're a very close-knit community. You're also right off of 75, so very central location. You can scoot down to Plano, you can scoot down to downtown Dallas, or you can hop over to Frisco. So pretty convenient location. I'm gonna give Allen a B rating. I would be definitely excited to live in Allen. Carrollton. So Carrollton is a great little spot. You've got two different areas of Carrollton, I would say. You've got that northern portion of Carrollton, and then you've got the southern portion of Carrollton. I find that in that southern portion, you've got a lot more multifamily and you've got a lot more industrial commercial spaces. So I feel like the southern portion is not as residential, and you know, it's just not my favorite. The northern section though, close to Hebron, great spot. You can find some newer homes up there. Castle Hills is in that section of Carrollton. You've also got some newer townhomes popping up as well. So I really do like Carrollton. I think it really depends on where you are. Carrollton is one of those suburbs that's very diverse, and you've got some really great diverse food options. So definitely check that out. In that northwest section of Carrollton, there's some really unique grocery stores and ethnic shops. So that's a really cool area of Carrollton to check out, especially if you are into trying lots of different types of food. Carrollton is known for having lots and lots and lots of different cultural foods, which is really cool. The schools in Carrollton are okay. It really depends on where you are. Like I said, if you're in that northern region of Carrollton, typically what I've seen is the schools are ranked a little bit better. You've kind of got those nicer, newer communities up there. And then in that southern region, you get a little bit closer to Dallas ISD, which, you know, it's just not really ranked the best. So that's my only hesitation with that southern region of Carrollton, and that's why I'm gonna give Carrollton a C. It's good, but maybe not one of the best. Next up, you've got Coppell. Coppell is in a very central location in DFW. You're very close to DFW Airport. You're really close to a lot of major highways, so you can really scoot whichever way you'd like. Coppell is known for having very academically rigorous schools. So the schools are a big deal in Coppell. You have a lot of students who are excelling in the academics. Maybe not so much as the sports from what I've heard, but academics are a big deal over here. So a lot of people moving to Coppell, their top priority there is getting into the really great schools. Price point over in Coppell is a little bit higher, probably because of this. You do have some older homes here, so if you're looking for a flip project that's also has really great schools, maybe Coppell would be a good option. Similar to Plano, it's just kind of like older homes there, but you have a lot of potential to renovate. So Coppell's a really good suburb. I have heard some feedback that people think that there's not as much to do in Coppell, but you are close to a lot of suburbs that have more to do. So, you know, that's kind of like a pro and a con there. But I would say overall, I would give Coppell a B rating. I would be excited to live here and definitely would want to take advantage of those great schools. Next up, we've got the Colony. So the Colony is interesting because I feel like you've got pockets of the Colony that are a lot better than others. You know, the Colony is generally an older suburb. You have a lot of these ranch style homes. They're a little bit smaller and they're definitely more dated. And my biggest hesitation with some of these neighborhoods in the Colony is people park in the streets, and it drives me nuts. I hate when people park on the streets. It just makes the whole neighborhood look cluttered, in my opinion. And you don't have a lot of HOAs over here. So there's no one really to regulate what people are putting in their yards, what is parked on the side of the street, you know what I mean? If it's a really nasty broken down car, I mean, you know, it just doesn't look good for the neighborhood. So that's my biggest beef with the Colony. The schools are not really ranked the best over here. But then you also have newer neighborhoods like the Tribute, for instance, that's located in the Colony. And you know, in my mind, the Tribute is almost separate from the Colony because it's just its own little entity over there. It's its own little island. You've got lots of new construction options over there. That neighborhood has been constructing homes for a while now, so they're kind of closing out in their newer opportunities. But you know, you've got newer homes, great amenities there. They're working on some schools being built. So, you know, I would say the Colony is gonna be a D for me. It's gonna be passable, depending on where you are. But I will say, the Colony is a really great option if maybe schools are not super important to you, or if you're prioritizing the location, because I know if you work in Irving, it's a pretty quick drive. It's about 25 minutes from the Colony to Irving. So it's in a really great location. And if you were looking on a budget, the Colony has really great options that are more affordable, and you can still get to Frisco, West Plano, Carrollton really quick, and you don't have to get on a highway. You can take all the back roads. So for that reason, like, I love the Colony because of the location, because of your proximity to Frisco, West Plano, Carrollton, but I don't love the Colony because some of the neighborhoods are just not my favorite. I wish they had an HOA, and I wish that they were maybe kept up a little bit better, and I think I would probably have a different opinion there. All right, next up we've got Richardson. So Richardson is a really cute little suburb just north of Dallas. You have all the benefits of living very close to the city center of Dallas, but you're living in the suburbs. And as you go further north into Richardson, I feel like it feels more and more like the suburbs. So you got quick access down to Dallas via 75, no tollways, which is a major plus, and you've got pretty good school ratings up here. I would say in general, Richardson ISD has some pretty good ratings, especially in that elementary category. So I really like Richardson a lot. You are seeing some areas have more new construction now that the area is kind of like turning over. These developers are clearing out some of the older properties and building new properties. So I think that's really refreshing, and that's good when you see that in a city, because at the end of the day, like, houses are going to age with time, and some of them need to be replaced and some of them need to be revitalized, which is a good, promising thing for the overall suburb. So I would say, originally I was gonna say Richardson is a C, good but not the best, but as I'm talking, I'm like, you know, Richardson is really good. So I would overall rank Richardson a B. I would be excited to live in Richardson. I'd be excited to live closer to Dallas, maybe minus a little bit of the traffic. The other thing about Richardson too is you can find some really affordable options here. For being so close to Dallas, I mean, you can find homes in the high 300s, low 400s. These are gonna be smaller homes, so you're not gonna see like 2,000 square feet at this price point, but you may see like between 1,200, 1,600 square feet for something that's like $415. Pretty good entry level price point. And if it has Richardson ISD and you're close to Dallas, I mean, that's a great little first time purchase. And overall, it's really great. And I will say, I've heard a lot of feedback about like the city is managed very well, and I think that's a huge plus. So overall, Richardson is a B. I would be very excited to live in Richardson. Lewisville. So Lewisville is a larger suburb. It's fairly centrally located. It's gonna be a D. It's gonna be a D for me. It's passable. There's a lower cost of living in Lewisville, but I feel like you're kind of in between so many things that you don't have a lot in Lewisville, if that makes sense. I feel like you're in a central spot. You definitely can find some more affordable options in Lewisville. The schools are not the best, truthfully. It's like you're either closer to Flower Mound, or you're closer to the Colony Carrollton area, or you're closer to Coppell. But like really in Lewisville, just not a lot going on. I really don't have too much to say about it. So in my opinion, Lewisville is gonna be a D. There is one exception. The part of Castle Hills that is located in Lewisville, I mean, obviously it's Castle Hills. Castle Hills is an incredible neighborhood. It just so happens to fall into Lewisville, like one section of it. So I would say everything else other than that, I would say Lewisville is a D, but obviously Castle Hills is an amazing neighborhood, and I have highly recommended that neighborhood to several of my clients. All right, now Celina. Celina is just north of Prosper, just north of Frisco, and it's gonna be an S for me, up and coming. I mean, Celina has got so much potential, so many new construction options. You've got pretty good school rankings up here. Part of Celina is going to be in Prosper ISD. Prosper ISD is just absolutely amazing, but I think Celina is going to get to where Prosper ISD is today. So really good school ratings, lots of growth potential. The only negative here in Celina is that you maybe don't have the infrastructure that you might have in some of the other suburbs, but you know, it's further out, it's growing. The infrastructure is coming. So I feel like Celina is such a great place to invest in the real estate market because it is just gonna keep getting more expensive and it is just gonna keep growing. Celina is also where you can find a lot of new construction, but it's also where you can find a lot of master plan communities. So those are those communities with really amazing amenities. You've got pools, clubhouses, fitness centers, tennis courts, pickleball courts, all that kind of stuff. Typically, you've got land and they've got land to make really amazing amenity centers. That's where they're gonna do it. So if you like that kind of thing, Celina is going to be a good spot for you. So next up, we've got Little Elm. Little Elm is not too far away from Celina. And you know, in general, Little Elm is in a pretty good location because you do have so much access and quick access to Frisco. You've also got the lake on that western side. I would say the thing about Little Elm is you can find really affordable options. The schools are not ranked the best, but you can find affordable housing options, which is pro and a con at the same time. I would say if you're someone who does not really care about school ratings and you want to be as close to Frisco as you can without paying the Frisco price, Little Elm. Absolutely 100% move to Little Elm. That's kind of the reason I would say Little Elm is going to be on the D list for me. It's going to be passable because you know you don't have the most amazing schools over here. You don't have a whole lot to do, but you are really close to Frisco, which is an amazing suburb. You've got lots to do in Frisco. However, you know, if you don't want to pay Frisco prices, if schools are not super important to you, then Little Elm is going to be your best option. You can find something more affordable. That's the deal with Little Elm. Prosper is going to be an S. I think that is an obvious S. It is up and coming. It is growing like crazy. I mean, Prosper and Celina, they are right next to each other and both are very similar. Prosper's got great schools, as I mentioned earlier. You've got really big neighborhoods over there like Windsong Ranch. Windsong Ranch is an amazing neighborhood. You are very close to 380 and 380 is growing, so that is one of those like growing pain kind of feelings. I don't like 380. I mean, 380 is some of the worst traffic you'll sit on, but they are working on expanding that road. When they do that, it's gonna be a lot better, but in between, you are gonna have to deal with 380, but you know, Prosper is a really great suburb, so it is an S. It is up and coming. All right, Flower Mound is another really popular suburb. You've got great school ratings in Flower Mound. Now, the funny thing about this is Flower Mound is actually Lewisville ISD. People think that it's a separate ISD, but it's really not. It's just the western side of Lewisville ISD, and all of those schools in Flower Mound that are Lewisville ISD, they're ranked very highly. So kind of a funny thing, Central Lewisville does not have the best school ratings. However, the western side of Lewisville ISD, if you're in Flower Mound, really great schools over there. So overall, Flower Mound is an awesome suburb. It's gonna be a B for me. I would definitely be excited to live in Flower Mound. You have newer construction options. You've got some really beautiful neighborhoods over here. You're bordering Lake Grapevine, which, you know, you've got some really great parks. One really cool spot to check out in Flower Mound is the Lakeside community. Love it. Love it. Look it up. You will probably like it too. I would say also Flower Mound is a pretty central spot. You can get to DFW airport pretty quickly. You can go over to Fort Worth side. You can go over to the Dallas side, Frisco side. So it's very community centered. It's, you know, really homey place, lots of good neighbors over here. All my clients say they love their neighbors in Flower Mound. So I really don't have anything negative to say about Flower Mound. It's a great suburb. All right, next up is Wylie. So the people who live in Wylie are obsessed with Wylie. And so I really like Wylie. For me personally, it's a little too east for me. I like being over on this side of Frisco. I like to be closer to the Frisco area because again, my boyfriend has family in Grapevine. So we are just commuting kind of over in this area. We travel fairly frequently. So for me, Wylie is a little too far east, but I would rank Wylie as an S. It's up and coming. You got a lot of new construction options. You've got newer neighborhoods, newer master plan communities popping up over here, and the schools are pretty great. And I'll tell you, the funny thing is like everyone who lives in Wylie love it. They're obsessed with Wylie. So you maybe don't have the hustle and bustle of some of these other suburbs, but as far as community and family-oriented suburb, Wylie is the way to go. It's a great one and I highly recommend it. All right, next up we've got Irving. I may get some opinions on this one. You may disagree and that's okay. Let me know your thoughts. So Irving is gonna be an F. I don't recommend it. Irving used to be really popular. It used to be similar to a Plano. Like everybody wanted to live in Irving. But now, similar to Plano, you know, they've got some school closures over there, and it's just, in general, Irving is just not as popular as it used to be. It's a very diverse area, so you've got a lot of cultures in Irving, which is pretty cool. Lots of good restaurants over there. However, the housing, you know, I personally feel like it's not very homey. The reason I say that is you've got a lot of infrastructure. You've got a lot of commercial space, and then you've got some residential space kind of mixed in between. So to me, it's just not like that suburb feeling. It feels very commercial to me. And so I just really don't love Irving. I don't. I think the benefit is you're very close to DFW Airport. You're close to a lot of major highways, so you're quick access to Dallas, but I wouldn't want to live in Irving. You also have a big difference between the lower income areas of Irving and the higher income areas of Irving. And I feel like sometimes you can't find that perfect in between unless you're close to, you know, a major highway, or you're close to the airport, or you're close to a lot of commercial space. So I just feel like there's a lot going on and it doesn't feel very suburban. And that's just what I feel. The school ratings are not great over there either. So I think the only exception to this is that northern part of Irving, specifically Las Colinas. Las Colinas is awesome. Love Las Colinas, highly recommend it. Lots to do over there. There's newer construction being developed. I love that area, but everything else, not a fan. Okay, Farmers Branch. Farmers Branch is a centrally located suburb. You don't have the best schools over here. You've got a lot of older homes, and for that reason, I'm gonna give Farmers Branch an F. Farmers Branch is a suburb that I don't necessarily recommend. And one of the biggest reasons is because every house I've ever toured, I've ever showed, I've ever sold has had wild foundation issues. We're not just talking like a pier or two. We're not talking like little uneven. No, they've had some like serious foundation issues. And if you're a first time buyer, that's scary. It's really scary. And foundation is an expensive repair. So I don't know what's going on with the soil over in Farmers Branch, but it's rocky and it's definitely not stable. So I wouldn't recommend it. It is an affordable option. You can find lower prices over here, but you're gonna find more dated properties. Next up, we've got Colleyville. So Colleyville is a really great little suburb. I don't spend too much time in Colleyville, I'll be honest with you. So I'm welcoming some of you who have maybe more experience with Colleyville. Drop your comments down below, drop your opinions. Overall, Colleyville's got really great schools. You're on that side with Grapevine, Southlake, Trophy Club, kind of in that area. Really popular. You're a quick drive to Fort Worth, fairly quick drive to Dallas. Maybe not a whole lot to do in Colleyville, but you're close to Southlake, you're close to Grapevine, so you've got a lot to do very close by. So all in all, I would say Colleyville, I'd give it a B. I'd be very excited to live here. I feel like it's a very family-oriented suburb. You do have some older homes over here, similar to Grapevine. It's kind of the negative is you do have older homes. You do have really mature neighborhoods though. So very established, very mature neighborhoods, really pretty neighborhoods over in Colleyville. So I'd highly recommend. I really don't have too much negative to say about it. Addison, okay. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about this. You know, you're very close to Dallas. You know, you're right at the tollway. There you are in Addison. You've got a ton of restaurants, a lot of entertainment. You don't necessarily have the best schools in Addison because you're Dallas ISD. Parts of Addison maybe closer to Carrollton in that ISD. But overall, yeah, I would say the benefit of Addison is that you can find some really great condos in Addison that are super affordable, and they put you very close to the restaurants and things to do. So I've got some clients who have bought several condos in Addison and they love it. And I love Addison for that. However, when you get into single family is gonna be a little bit older. They're gonna need some updates. And because of your location so close to Dallas, I feel like the single family is priced a little high. So you're buying something that is in a great location, and you're probably going to need to be doing some renovations. So all in all, I would say Addison is a C. It's good, but maybe not the best in my opinion. All right, last three on the list. So Argyle. Argyle is a new and up-and-coming suburb. It is an easy S for me. You have an amazing school district out in Argyle ISD. I did a separate video talking about the top 10 ISDs in DFW, and Argyle is one of the top on that list. It's an amazing school district. And you do have new construction options. So it's a newer suburb. It's growing like gangbusters, as my dad would say. So it's growing a lot. You've got a lot of potential appreciation out here. So I would highly, highly recommend. Only negative, it's a little further out. It maybe doesn't have the infrastructure of some of these other suburbs, but if you're raising a family, good schools, maybe a newer house might be at the top of your priority list, and I would say Argyle ISD, baby, all day long. Similar, next suburb is gonna be Northlake. Northlake and Argyle are very close. In fact, part of Northlake is in Argyle ISD, so really great school ratings, as you can imagine. And Northlake is also a growing and developing area. So you've got plenty of new construction options. The infrastructure is coming. I was reading on a Reddit thread that they are super excited because there's a new grocery store coming. So it's a little further out, and that's just the reality of those two suburbs, but you have a ton of appreciation of potential. You've got some lower home prices out there for a larger, newer construction home. So really great. I would say Argyle and Northlake are two suburbs that I would definitely watch in 2025. The last, but definitely not the least, we've got Garland. Garland is a suburb. Garland has a mix of different neighborhoods. There is good areas of Garland and there is not so great areas of Garland. And I feel like if you're someone who doesn't really mind having a little bit lower of school ratings and you don't mind being a little bit further out east, and you want something affordable, Garland is a great option. You've got a lot of affordable housing. Schools are okay. You know, Garland has this unique program where you pick your school. Most suburbs in the area, you're kind of zoned to a specific school, whereas Garland, you've got your choice of school, which is, you know, kind of cool. Overall, Garland's gonna be a D for me. It's passable. There's not a whole lot to do in Garland, to be honest with you. So I would say pro is you can find affordable housing, maybe something a little bit bigger, less expensive than the surrounding suburbs, but at the same time, not a whole lot to do. Well, that is a wrap. That was a long list of suburbs and I am parched, but I think this was really great and hopefully this helps you get an idea, get a personal opinion of mine as to the suburbs in DFW. This was by far not the whole list of suburbs. There's plenty more really great ones, not so great ones. So if you have a question about one that I didn't mention, definitely leave me a comment and I'll give you my 2 cents. But thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you learned anything from this video, if you thought it was interesting, if you watched till the end, give me a like button and let me know. I appreciate you so much. I will see you guys on the next video.